Have you ever stood in your living room, coffee in hand, and suddenly noticed how quiet it is? Not just the kind of quiet that comes when the TV's off, but the kind of quiet that makes you realize no one's expected, no one's dropping by, and the phone hasn't rung in days. That quiet can be peaceful, but sometimes it carries a weight. Maybe you've lost a spouse, or friends have moved away, or your kids are grown and busy. Maybe you're still strong, still sharp, still doing just fine. But you've started to wonder, what happens if something goes wrong? What if you trip? What if you get dizzy in the kitchen? What if no one notices? The truth is, growing older brings change. Some of those changes are beautiful, like wisdom, patience, and the freedom to finally put yourself first. But others can be tougher to face, especially when you're living alone. And here's something no one talks about enough. Living alone in your later years isn't the problem. The problem is living unprepared. But that's why you're here, and I'm so glad you are. Because today, we're talking heart to heart about how to stay not just safe, but confident, calm, and in control when you live by yourself. We're going to walk through 6 simple but powerful strategies that can help you create a home, a routine, and a mindset that supports your well-being every single day. You won't need fancy technology or drastic changes. What you will need is a willingness to rethink a few habits and make choices that protect your dignity, independence, and peace of mind. So let's start right where safety begins, not with alarms or locks, but with connection. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone checked in on you? Not out of duty, but because it's part of a rhythm you've both agreed on. You see, one of the most protective things you can do when living alone is to create a daily check-in habit. I'm not talking about giving up your privacy or asking people to hover over you. I'm talking about building a quiet little safety net that runs in the background. James, a retired school principal, lives alone in the same home he's been in for 40 years. He's proud, active, and still mows his own lawn. But every morning by 9 a.m., he sends a simple "good morning" text to his niece. That's it. If she doesn't hear from him by 10, she gives him a quick call. They rarely need to do more, but both of them sleep better because of it. It's not about being watched. It's about being cared for, on your terms. And it doesn't have to be digital. Some communities have neighbors who open a curtain at the same time every morning. Others use buddy systems where someone glances out their window just to make sure all looks well. It takes less than a minute. But that tiny gesture can be the difference between peace and panic. You can even use services that pair seniors with volunteers who check in by phone. And if you're more independent, a smart device or app can prompt you to press a button each day. If you don't, it alerts someone you trust. There's no shame in this. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because strong people don't ignore backup plans. They make sure they have them. And while that check-in gives your day structure, the next thing we need to talk about gives your body security, the space you move through every single day. Let me be clear. Most serious injuries among older adults don't happen on icy sidewalks or out in traffic. They happen at home, in places you know like the back of your hand. That's part of what makes them so dangerous. Because when you've lived in the same place for years, you stop seeing the risks. That old rug in the hallway, the lamp you have to reach behind the couch to turn on, the chair you use to reach the top shelf, these things don't feel risky. Until one day, they are. Margaret, a warm-hearted 76-year-old who used to host weekly church gatherings, slipped one winter evening in her living room. She stepped on the edge of a rug that had curled just slightly. She fell and broke her hip. Recovery took 5 months, and she never drove again. All because of a rug. That's why fall-proofing your home isn't something you wait to do after an accident. It's something you do now, so it never happens. You don't need to renovate your whole house. Just take a slow walk through each room as if you were guiding someone with a walker or cane. Ask yourself, would they trip here? Would they struggle to reach that? Would they hesitate to step there? Start with lighting. Make sure it's bright enough and evenly spread. Add night lights in the hallway, the bathroom, and near the bed. Motion sensor lights are a wonderful invention, hands-free and reassuring. Then look at your furniture. Can you get up from your favorite chair without straining? Are the paths between rooms clear of cords or clutter? Are the things you use every day, like your coffee mug or medicine, within easy reach, or are they tucked away in high cabinets? Even the shoes you wear indoors matter. Socks or smooth slippers can be as slippery as ice. A good pair of house shoes with rubber soles is one of the simplest investments in your safety you can make. And please, don't overlook the bathroom. That's where most falls happen. Non-slip mats inside and outside the tub, a grab bar near the toilet, maybe even a bench in the shower. These are not luxuries. They're essentials for living well, on your own terms. I know some folks say, "I'm still strong, I don't need all this yet." And you might be. But fall-proofing isn't about now. It's about making sure the next 10 years are as free and independent as today. And isn't that the point? So if you're watching this and thinking, maybe I should take a look around my home today, that's a wonderful place to start. Small changes, big difference. And now that we've looked at how staying connected and setting up a safe environment can protect your independence, let's talk about something just as important, something that often goes unnoticed until it's too late: your health. Not just the big stuff like your annual checkup or blood pressure numbers, but the small signs, those quiet signals your body gives you before anything serious shows up on a medical report. You see, when you live alone, you don't always have someone around to notice the little changes. Maybe you're sleeping more than usual or feeling off balance when you get up too fast. Maybe food doesn't taste the same anymore, or you've started forgetting where you left the keys more than once. These aren't always red flags. Sometimes they're just part of aging, but sometimes they're early whispers from your body saying, "Hey, something's different." And the best person to catch those whispers is you. Walter, an 82-year-old who lived alone for years after retiring, used to be sharp as a tack. Always reading, always solving crosswords. But he started missing little things. Left the stove on one day. Couldn't remember if he'd fed the dog the next. One morning, he found his keys in the freezer and had no memory of putting them there. It wasn't until a neighbor smelled burnt food and came to check that anyone realized something was wrong. By the time Walter saw a doctor, he was already in the early stages of dementia. It was nobody's fault, but it could have been caught sooner if someone had noticed the signs. Or better yet, if Walter had written them down. That's why one of the smartest habits you can build right now is a simple weekly self-check. Not a big production, just 5 minutes once a week. Maybe on Sunday morning with your coffee. Ask yourself, did I sleep well this week? Did I eat regularly? Did I feel full and energized afterward? Did I feel unusually tired, off balance, or dizzy? Did anything hurt or feel different in my body? Aches, swelling, a fluttery heartbeat? And most importantly, did I feel okay emotionally? Or did I feel down, anxious, or disconnected? You don't need to share your answers with anyone, but write them down. Keep a little notebook. Over time, patterns might show up, and if something changes suddenly, you'll know it wasn't always that way. Even things like losing your appetite or skipping meals without meaning to could be signs of depression or another health issue. When you're on your own, those quiet details matter more than ever. And there's something empowering about knowing yourself well enough to say, something's off, and I trust myself enough to get it checked. That's strength. That's wisdom. That's how you stay ahead. Now let's shift from the internal to the external, because while your awareness is your first line of defense, your environment is your second. Barbara is 77. She lives alone, keeps a neat house, bakes the best banana bread in her neighborhood, and still uses the same furniture she bought in the 80s. But one morning, her cozy home turned dangerous. Her slippers didn't grip well. The corner of a rug flipped up. She fell, hard, and no one found her for hours. That rug, that one simple thing she stepped over every single day, nearly cost her her hip and her independence. This is why we need to look at our homes with fresh eyes. Not eyes that say, "Oh, I've lived here for years, it's fine," but eyes that ask, "Is this space working with me or against me?" Start by simplifying. Are there cords across the floor? Furniture squeezed into tight corners? Rugs that slide? Get rid of them. You don't need to strip your house bare, but it should never feel like an obstacle course. Think about what you use the most. Are your favorite plates way up high in a cabinet? Is your go-to blanket shoved in the back of a closet? These little things matter. Your everyday items should be at waist to shoulder height, easy to grab, no reaching or bending required. Light matters too. As we age, our eyes adjust to light and dark more slowly. A hallway that felt dim but okay 10 years ago can now become a tripping hazard. Install motion sensor night lights in your bathroom, kitchen, and hallway. Make sure your stairs, yes, even just 2 or 3 steps, are well lit from top to bottom. Phones are another thing we often overlook. Make sure you've got one in every major room. If that's not possible, consider a smartwatch or medical alert device. Many of them now look just like fitness trackers or watches. Some even detect falls automatically. No need to push a button if you can't reach it. And yes, your bathroom needs special attention. A grab bar next to the toilet, a non-slip mat inside and outside the tub, and a bench in the shower if you ever feel unsteady. None of this is about admitting weakness. It's about protecting your independence. Because here's the truth. When you set up your home to support your body instead of testing it, you don't just prevent accidents. You free yourself from worry. You move with more confidence. You feel less tense. And that peace, it's worth every small change. We've covered a lot already: daily check-ins, fall-proofing your space, staying tuned into your body, and setting up a home that supports you instead of surprises you. But there's still something that matters just as much as all of that. And that's how you feel on the inside. Because the hardest part of living alone isn't always physical. Sometimes it's emotional. The silence, the stillness, the feeling that the world is moving on without you. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in slowly. 1 week you're fine. Then a few quiet days pass. You start wondering when someone last said your name out loud. And that loneliness, it doesn't just touch the heart. It starts to chip away at your memory, your motivation, even your health. Frank, 82, lost his wife a few years ago. He still cooks, still walks to the park every morning, still does his own grocery shopping. On the outside, he looks like he's doing great. But one day, he said something that stuck with me. "I could disappear for a week," he said, "and nobody would know." That kind of loneliness isn't just sad. It's dangerous. But here's the good news. It's not permanent. You don't need to be the life of the party or join a dozen social clubs to feel connected again. You just need a few steady anchors. A weekly phone call with someone who knows you. A neighbor who waves when you bring in the mail. A small volunteer role, reading to kids on Zoom, knitting hats for shelters, or even answering questions in an online community. These things don't just fill time. They give you purpose. They remind you that you still matter. That someone is glad you're here. And sometimes that someone has fur. Pets, whether it's a gentle dog, a purring cat, or even fish swimming quietly in a tank, can bring comfort, structure, and a sense of companionship that goes deeper than words. Studies show they can lower blood pressure, ease anxiety, and even keep your memory sharp by keeping you engaged in daily tasks. There are also community programs that offer rides, lunches, and meetups for seniors. You don't have to go every week. You don't have to stay long. But being in a space where people see you, really see you, can change everything. Because being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. And staying safe and healthy isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about filling your life with things that bring you peace, joy, and a reason to wake up with a smile. Let's keep going. Because the next step is one that can turn small emergencies into simple problems and fear into calm. Because no matter how well you prepare, life has a way of surprising us. One moment you're getting ready for dinner, the next you feel a sudden pain in your chest. Or maybe a storm knocks the power out and your phone battery is down to 5%. It's these moments, the unexpected ones, that test how ready we really are. But here's the thing, being prepared doesn't mean you're fearful. It means you've thought ahead. You've put quiet systems in place so that when the unexpected comes knocking, you don't feel helpless, you feel steady, confident, ready. Let's start with something as simple but critical as fall prevention. You've already looked at your rugs, your lighting, your furniture, but preparation also means thinking one step beyond. For example, if you fall and can't get up, who will know? Who will help? That's where medical alert systems come in. And before you tune this part out thinking, "I'm not that old, hear me out." These devices have come a long way. They're not bulky. They don't look like hospital bracelets. Some look like elegant watches or fitness trackers. Others clip easily to your waistband or hang discreetly from a necklace under your shirt. The best part? Many of them detect falls automatically. That means even if you can't press a button because you've hit your head or you're unconscious, it will still alert someone. And that could save your life. It's not giving up control. It's taking it. Another simple yet powerful layer of safety, your emergency contacts. Not just saved in your phone, but printed, on paper, easy to find. Stick a copy on your refrigerator, where paramedics are trained to look. Include names, numbers, your medications, allergies, your doctor's name, and any major medical history that could help in an emergency. This one sheet of paper can speak for you when you can't. And while we're thinking ahead, let's talk about basic supplies. You don't need to prepare for the end of the world, but it's wise to have what you need for a few days if, say, you're snowed in or feeling too sick to leave the house. A small kit with bottled water, shelf-stable food like soup or peanut butter, a flashlight with working batteries, a phone charger that doesn't need an outlet. These aren't just for survival. They're for comfort. They say, "I've got this." And that feeling is powerful. But do you know what may be even more powerful than a medical device or emergency stash? A neighbor, one person, just one. You don't have to become best friends. You don't have to share personal details. But a simple agreement, if you don't see me for a couple of days, knock. If something seems off, give me a call. That's it. And if you're not sure how to start that conversation, try this. Next time you see them, just say, "Hey, I live alone and I'd feel better knowing we could check in on each other once in a while. Would that be okay with you?" You might be surprised how many people will say yes, because chances are they need someone too. And don't underestimate the power of mindset. When you've taken steps to plan ahead, you start to carry yourself differently. You worry less. You move with more purpose. And if something does go wrong, you're more likely to think clearly, act quickly, and stay calm, because you've already imagined the scenario and prepared for it. This isn't about expecting the worst. It's about building a life that supports your best. Because the truth is, living alone doesn't have to feel risky. It can feel empowering when you've designed your life to meet your needs, not fight them. So let's pause for just a moment. Think about everything we've talked about. You've set up a daily check-in, or maybe you're thinking about who you'd ask. You've looked around your home with new eyes. You're noticing what your body and mind are telling you. You've brought more light into your rooms, made things easier to reach, and maybe even reached out to someone just to say hello. You've added structure, safety, connection, and awareness. That's not small stuff. That's life-changing. And it brings us to the heart of this whole conversation, living with purpose. Because all the strategies in the world don't mean much if you don't feel like your life matters, if you don't feel needed or seen. So here's my final thought for you today. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not done growing. You've lived through more than most people can imagine. You've built careers, raised children, faced grief, solved problems, adapted to change. And that strength, it's not behind you. It's still in you now. If anything, it's stronger. What we've talked about today isn't just about staying alive. It's about building a life that feels full, that feels yours. Because when you feel safe, you're free to enjoy your home. When you feel connected, you're more likely to smile, to laugh, to create new memories. When your health is in your hands, you feel powerful. And when your mind is calm because you've planned ahead, you rest better. You live better. So whether you're 60 or 90, whether you live in a little apartment or a house full of memories, whether you have a circle of friends or just one trusted neighbor, you can build a life that is safe, healthy, and deeply satisfying. And if no one has told you lately, let me be the one to say it. You deserve that. You deserve peace. You deserve independence. You deserve dignity. You are capable. You are wise. And you are absolutely still needed in this world. If any part of today's conversation spoke to you, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment below. Share one thing you're going to change or one thing you're proud you've already done. Because your story, it matters. And your experience might help someone else find their way too. And if this video brought you comfort or insight, consider liking it, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a friend or loved one. Your support helps us continue to create content that informs, empowers, and uplifts. Here's to living your best life at any age. You've earned it, and we're here with you every step of the way. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.